Once upon a time, in the heart of Ikwa's kingdom, there was a beautiful village called Ruru. The village was surrounded by tall green trees and colorful flowers. The people in Ruru were very happy because they had plenty of food to eat. The fields were always full of corn, yams, and fruits. In Ruru lived a powerful and feared man named Chief Zulu. He was the head of the village chiefs. Chief Zulu was very strong and tall. His voice was loud, and when he spoke, everyone listened. He had two big farms filled with corn, yams, and other crops. These farms were the biggest in the village. Chief Zulu had a son named Ejiro. Ejiro was kind and gentle, very different from his father. Chief Zulu also had 7 beautiful daughters. Their names were Ada, Amara, Chika, Neka, Ifeoma, Ngozi, and Uju. Chief Zulu loved his daughters very much and took care of them in a way that many people thought was strange. Chief Zulu was very strict. He wanted his daughters to be perfect and never let them suffer. Sometimes he even bathed them, even when they were old enough to do it themselves. The villagers whispered about this, saying, "It is not normal for a man to do this." But no one dared to confront Chief Zulu because he was very wicked. Chief Zulu was known for his wickedness. He was harsh and treacherous. He punished people severely if they did something wrong. Everyone in the village was afraid of him. They tried to avoid him and his family as much as possible. Chief Zulu's daughters took after their father. They were also mean and liked to cause trouble. But Ejiro, the only son, was different. He was kind and gentle. He always tried to help others and was very sad that no one wanted to be friends with him because of his father's wickedness. Despite Chief Zulu's love for his daughters, his behavior made it hard for anyone to want to marry them. The villagers wondered, how could such beautiful girls be so wicked? They all knew it was because of their father's influence. So, the fearsome Chief Zulu ruled over his family and the village with an iron fist. His power and wickedness made him respected, but also very much feared. One sunny morning, Chief Zulu's daughters went to the stream to fetch water. The stream was a place where all the village girls gathered to talk and laugh while they filled their pots. But when Chief Zulu's daughters arrived, the laughter often stopped. The other girls knew that trouble wasn't far behind. On this day, Ada and Amara, the oldest of Chief Zulu's daughters, saw 2 girls from another part of the village at the stream. These girls, Nkechi and Obioma, were quietly filling their pots with water. Ada whispered something to Amara, and without a second thought, they both walked up to Nkechi and Obioma. With a quick push, Ada knocked Obioma's pot off her head. The pot fell to the ground and shattered into pieces, spilling water all over the grass. Obioma stood shocked, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Why did you do that?" she cried out. Amara laughed loudly and pointed at Obioma. "Because we can," she sneered. The argument quickly turned into a scuffle. Nkechi tried to defend her sister, and in the chaos, Amara tripped and fell, scratching her arm on the sharp rocks by the stream. Crying and angry, Chief Zulu's daughters stormed off, leaving Nkechi and Obioma upset and with a broken pot. When Ada and Amara got home, they ran to their mother, Amakachi. They were crying and looked very upset. "Mother, the girls at the stream were mean to us," Ada sobbed. "They pushed Amara and she fell and hurt herself." Amakachi was worried and sad to see her daughters in pain. She believed their story without question. "Don't worry, my children. I will take care of this," she said, soothing their fears. But the truth was twisted. Chief Zulu's daughters had caused the trouble themselves. Yet they lied to make themselves look like the victims. They knew their actions would bring consequences, so they changed the story to protect themselves. This trouble at the stream was just another example of how the wickedness of Chief Zulu's family affected everyone around them. The village knew Chief Zulu's daughters were just as fearsome as their father, but with their lies, they always managed to escape blame. Ankechi and Obioma, the girls who were bullied at the stream, were the daughters of a woman named Amichi. Amichi was a single mother who had lost her husband in a war. She worked very hard to take care of her daughters. Amechi was known in the village as a kind and strong woman. When Nkechi and Obioma returned home with the broken pot and tears in their eyes, Amechi hugged them and listened to their story. Mama, Ada, and Amara knocked over our pots and hurt us, Obioma cried. Amechi's heart ached for her daughters. She knew how wicked Chief Zulu's family could be, but she also knew she had to stand up for her children. Don't worry, my daughters. We will make things right, she said, trying to comfort them. The next day, Amakachi, Chief Zulu's wife, came to Amichi's house. She didn't knock or greet anyone. She barged in and grabbed Nkechi by the arm. How dare you hurt my daughters? She shouted, dragging Nkechi outside. Amechi rushed out to protect her daughter. Let her go. It wasn't her fault, she pleaded. But Amakachi was too angry to listen. She began to beat Nkechi. Amechi jumped in to shield her daughter and got hurt in the process. Amakachi's anger was fierce, and Amechi, being a single mother without a husband to defend her, was at a disadvantage. The villagers watched in horror but were too afraid to intervene. Amakachi, seeing the fear in their eyes, finally let go of Nkechi and stormed off, leaving Amechi and her daughters bruised and scared. Amechi, nursing her wounds, warned her daughters, "We must stay away from them. They are too dangerous." She held Nkechi and Obioma close, determined to protect them from any further harm. The village whispered about the incident, knowing well that Chief Zulu and his family were to blame. But fear kept them silent. They pitied Amichi and her daughters, but felt powerless against Chief Zulu's wrath. In the quiet of their home, Amichi's family tried to find solace and strength, knowing they had to be brave in a village where wickedness often went unchallenged. When Chief Zulu found out that his wife, Amakachi, had been involved in a fight with Amechi's daughters, he was furious. His eyes burned with anger as he stormed out of his house. He was determined to show the village what happens when someone crosses his family. Chief Zulu marched straight to Amechi's house. He didn't knock. He burst through the door, making everyone inside jump with fear. Without a word, he grabbed Amichi and her daughters, dragging them outside. The villagers watched in silence, too scared to intervene. "How dare you lay a hand on my family?" Chief Zulu roared. He tied Amichi and her daughters to a tree in front of their house. Amichi's heart pounded with fear, but she tried to stay strong for her girls. "Please, Chief Zulu, have mercy," Amichi begged, tears streaming down her face. But Chief Zulu's heart was cold. He picked up a whip and began to flog Amichi and her daughters. The sound of the whip cracking and their cries of pain echoed through the village. Chief Zulu's daughters watched from a distance, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction. They were glad their father was punishing those who dared to stand up to them. After what seemed like an eternity, Chief Zulu stopped flogging Nkechi and Obioma, but he continued to beat Amechi. Her strength waned, and she became nearly unconscious. Only then did Chief Zulu stop, shoving her to the ground. "Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks they can defy me," Chief Zulu said. his voice dripping with menace. He turned and walked away, leaving Amichi and her daughters in pain and despair. The next day, the village woke to the tragic news that Amichi had died. The whispers grew louder, and the villagers were filled with a mix of sorrow and fear. They knew Chief Zulu was responsible, but they were too afraid to do anything about it. Ejiro, Chief Zulu's kind-hearted son, felt deep sorrow for Amichi and her daughters. He went to their house to offer his condolences. Although Nkechi and Obioma were angry at first, they saw the sincerity in Ejiro's eyes and accepted his sympathy. Amichi's death cast a dark shadow over the village. The people mourned her loss, but they also feared Chief Zulu's wrath even more. They knew that standing up to him could lead to dire consequences, just as it had for Amichi and her daughters. Ejiro, the gentle and kind-hearted son of Chief Zulu, felt deep sorrow for what had happened to Amichi and her daughters. He knew that his father's actions were wrong, and it troubled his heart. Ejiro couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Another afternoon, Ejiro decided to visit Amichi's daughters, Nkechi and Obioma. He walked slowly to their house, his head hanging low with sadness. When he arrived, he found the girls sitting outside, looking sad and lost. "Hello, Nkechi." "Hello, Obioma." Ejiro greeted them softly. The girls looked up and saw him standing there. They remembered that he was the son of the man who had caused them so much pain. "What do you want?" Nkechi asked sharply, her eyes filled with anger and tears. Ejiro took a deep breath and said, "I came to offer my condolences. I am truly sorry for what my father did. I know it cannot bring back your mother, but I want you to know that I care." Obioma glared at him. "Your father is a wicked man. How can we believe anything you say?" Ejiro knelt down in front of them, his eyes sincere and full of sorrow. "I understand your anger. If I could change what happened, I would. I am not like my father. I want to help you if I can." Nkechi and Obioma were silent for a moment. They looked at each other, then back at Ejiro. They could see the honesty in his eyes. He wasn't there to harm them. He genuinely wanted to help. "We don't know what to do now," Nkechi said quietly. "Without our mother, everything seems so hard." Ejiro nodded. "I can only imagine how difficult this must be. But please know that you are not alone. I will help you in any way I can." Slowly, the anger in Nkechi and Obioma's hearts began to soften. They saw that Ejiro was different from his father. He was kind and caring, and he truly wanted to make amends. "Thank you, Ejiro," Obioma said, her voice trembling. "We appreciate your kindness." Ejiro stayed with them for a while, offering words of comfort and support. As he left, Nkechi and Obioma felt a small glimmer of hope. They knew that, despite the wickedness of Chief Zulu, there was still goodness in the world, and it was found in Ejiro's kind heart. After the incident with Amichi, Chief Zulu became even more cruel and harsh. His anger and wickedness grew stronger. He treated the workers on his farms like slaves. They worked from dawn till dusk without rest. Chief Zulu would shout at them, call them names, and sometimes even beat them if they didn't work fast enough. The workers were exhausted and hungry. When it was time to get paid, Chief Zulu would make them wait for hours. Sometimes he wouldn't pay them at all, sending them home with empty hands and broken spirits. The villagers pitied the workers, but were too afraid of Chief Zulu to speak up. Despite their beauty, no one wanted to marry Chief Zulu's daughters. The villagers knew how mean and troublesome they were. Whenever a young man gathered the courage to ask for one of the daughters' hand in marriage, Chief Zulu would chase him away. One day, the son of the richest man in the village, a brave young man named Chidi, came to Chief Zulu's house. He wanted to marry Ada, the eldest daughter, because he thought she was the most beautiful girl in the village. He brought gifts and spoke respectfully to Chief Zulu. "Sir, I would like to marry your daughter, Ada," Chidi said, bowing his head politely. Chief Zulu's eyes flashed with anger. "How dare you come here and ask for my daughter's hand?" he shouted. "Leave now, or you will regret it." Chidi tried to explain his feelings, but Chief Zulu called his workers and ordered them to flog Chidi. They beat him until he could barely stand, and then they threw him out of the compound. The news of Chidi's beating spread quickly through the village. Everyone was shocked and scared. No one dared to approach Chief Zulu's daughters again. The villagers whispered among themselves, "How could anyone marry such wicked girls with a father like that?" Chief Zulu's cruelty affected everyone around him. His daughters remained unmarried and bitter, knowing that their father's actions had turned everyone against them. The workers on his farms grew weaker and more miserable each day, but they had no choice but to endure the harsh treatment. Ejiro, the kind-hearted son, watched all of this with a heavy heart. He wanted to help, but his father's power and cruelty made it difficult. He knew he had to find a way to escape the darkness that surrounded his family. And so, the village of Ruru continued to suffer under the cruelty of Chief Zulu, while hope and kindness seemed like distant dreams. One hot afternoon, as the sun blazed high in the sky, a strange girl came to Chief Zulu's house. She wore a simple dress and carried a small bundle. Her eyes were bright and her smile was warm. She knocked on the door several times, but no one answered. The house was quiet, and it seemed like no one cared to check who was there. "Hello? Is anyone home?" the girl called out, but there was no response. Meanwhile, inside the house, Ejiro was feeling more and more tired of his father's cruelty. He could no longer stand the way Chief Zulu treated everyone. He knew he had to leave the village to find peace and happiness. Ejiro packed his belongings quietly, determined to escape the darkness that surrounded his family. "I need to go far away from here," Ejiro thought to himself. "I need to find a place where kindness and goodness are valued." That night, Ejiro approached his father. "Father, I have decided to leave the village," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Please give me your blessing." Chief Zulu looked at his son with a cold, calculating gaze. He nodded slowly. "You have my blessing, but remember, you are still my son. You will always carry my name." Ejiro felt a mix of relief and unease. He knew his father too well to believe that this blessing came without a price. He went to bed early, pretending to sleep so he could leave in the middle of the night. As the moon rose high, Ejiro quietly gathered his things and sneaked out of his room. He tiptoed through the silent house and slipped out the door. The night was cool and peaceful, and for the first time in a long while, Ejiro felt a sense of hope. Ejiro made his way to his friend's house, where he planned to spend the night before continuing his journey. He felt relieved and happy, knowing he had escaped his father's grip. Back at Chief Zulu's house, Chief Zulu woke up very early in the morning. He laid a powerful charm in front of Ejiro's room, waiting for his son to step on it and be trapped. But when he checked the room, he found it empty. Ejiro was gone. Chief Zulu was disappointed and angry. He had not wanted his son to leave. He wanted to control him. He knew Ejiro was smart, and this made him even more determined to bring him back. As the village of Ruru slept, Chief Zulu began plotting his next move. He would not let Ejiro go so easily. Meanwhile, The strange girl who had knocked on the door earlier stood by the village well, wondering why no one had answered her. Little did she know, her arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter in the lives of the villagers. When the morning sun rose over the village of Ruru, Chief Zulu discovered that Ejiro was gone. His room was empty, and the charm he had set was destroyed. Chief Zulu's face turned red with fury and shame. How could his own son, his flesh and blood, outsmart him and escape? Chief Zulu stormed through the house, shouting and cursing. "Ejiro, you cannot hide from me forever," he bellowed, his voice echoing through the village. His daughters and wife watched in fear, knowing that Chief Zulu's anger was dangerous. "He has disgraced me," Chief Zulu muttered to himself. "No one defies Chief Zulu and gets away with it." He was determined to bring Ejiro back, to control him and make him follow his rules. Chief Zulu sat down and began to devise another plan. He knew Ejiro was smart, so this time he needed to be even more cunning. He called his most trusted servant, Ikena, and gave him strict orders. "Ikena, find out where Ejiro is hiding. Do not return until you have found him," Chief Zulu commanded, his eyes blazing with determination. Ikena nodded and set off to gather information. Chief Zulu, meanwhile, started spreading the word among the villagers that anyone who helped Ejiro would face severe punishment. He wanted to create an atmosphere of fear and obedience. In the days that followed, Chief Zulu's desperation grew. He couldn't bear the thought of losing control over his son. He visited the local herbalist, hoping to find a powerful charm that would bring Ejiro back. The herbalist, sensing Chief Zulu's desperation, offered him a solution. "Chief Zulu, I have a charm that can make someone return to you," the herbalist said, holding up a small, intricately carved wooden figure. "But it requires a piece of the person's clothing or something they hold dear." Chief Zulu thought for a moment. He remembered that Ejiro had left behind an old necklace, a keepsake from his childhood. He hurried back home, found the necklace, and returned to the herbalist. "Use this," Chief Zulu said, handing over the necklace. "Make sure it works." The herbalist took the necklace and began the ritual, chanting and waving the figure over a smoky fire. Chief Zulu watched intently, hoping that this would be the answer to his problem. As the ritual ended, the herbalist handed the figure back to Chief Zulu. "Keep this close to you. It will draw Ejiro back. But remember, the charm's power lies in your belief and will." Chief Zulu clutched the figure tightly, feeling a sense of control returning to him. He was confident that his plan would work and that Ejiro would come back. Meanwhile, Ejiro continued his journey, unaware of his father's latest scheme. He was focused on finding a new life, free from the cruelty and control of Chief Zulu. But deep in his heart, he knew that his father would not give up easily. In the village, the people whispered about Chief Zulu's desperation and the charm he had obtained. They felt sorry for Ejiro, but were too afraid to help him openly. They hoped that Ejiro would find a way to escape his father's grasp and live a life filled with kindness and peace. As Chief Zulu waited for the charm to take effect, his desperation grew. He knew that his hold on Ejiro was slipping, and he was determined to do whatever it took to bring his son back under his control. But the more he tried to tighten his grip, the more he felt the sands of control slipping through his fingers. Not long after Ejiro's escape, Amakachi, Chief Zulu's wife, fell gravely ill. Her strength faded, and she could no longer walk or do her daily chores. She lay in bed, weak and in pain. Her daughters, who had inherited their father's cruelty, showed little care for their mother. Mother, why are you so weak? Ada sneered one day. You're making the whole house smell bad. Amakachi's heart broke at her daughter's harsh words. She cried out in pain and despair, but her daughters ignored her, treating her like a burden. Chief Zulu, seeing his wife's condition worsen, decided to take her to the village herbalist, hoping for a cure. He carried Amakachi to the herbalist's hut, where the old man took one look at her and shook his head. She is beyond my help, the herbalist said solemnly. Her illness is too advanced. You must take her back home. Chief Zulu was furious. He had hoped the herbalist could heal Amakachi so she could continue to support him. Instead, he found himself with a sick wife and uncaring daughters. Frustrated and desperate, Chief Zulu took Amakachi back home. One evening, as Amakachi lay moaning in pain, Chief Zulu called his daughters together. We need to end this suffering, he said coldly. She is of no use to us like this. We will give her a poison plant and end her pain once and for all. The daughters looked at each other, and the eldest Ada nodded in agreement. Yes, father, it is the only way. She looks like she will die soon anyway. The other daughters agreed, and they set to work. Ada went to pluck the poison plant while Chief Zulu prepared the other ingredients. As they cooked the deadly mixture, Chief Zulu felt a strange sensation, as if someone was watching him. He asked his daughters if they had told anyone about their plan. No, father, they all replied. We haven't told a soul. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the village of Ruru, Chief Zulu and his daughters continued to prepare the deadly poison for Amakachi. The pot bubbled and hissed, filling the air with a noxious smell. Chief Zulu's heart was cold as he stirred the mixture, believing this was the only way to end his wife's suffering. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the evening quiet. It was Amakachi. She stood up from her sickbed, her eyes wide with terror. Chief Zulu and his daughters froze in shock. What is happening? Chief Zulu demanded. But before anyone could respond, a chilling presence filled the room. Amichi's spirit appeared, her form shimmering with an otherworldly glow, and in her hand was a long whip. You will pay for your wickedness, Chief Zulu, Amichi's spirit declared, her voice echoing with power. With a swift motion, Amichi's spirit lashed out with the whip, striking Chief Zulu. He screamed in pain and fell to his knees. His daughters watched in horror, unable to see Amichi's spirit, but seeing their father writhing on the floor. Amakachi, now filled with strength and determination after being possessed by Amichi's spirit, grabbed Chief Zulu by the arm. You will face justice for your deeds, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. With Amichi's spirit guiding her, Amakachi dragged Chief Zulu out of the house and towards the village square. Chief Zulu screamed and begged for mercy, but Amakachi's grip was firm. Villagers began to gather, drawn by the commotion. They whispered among themselves, wondering what was happening. As they reached the village square, Amichi's spirit commanded Amakachi to stop. Confess your sins, Chief Zulu, Amichi's spirit demanded. Chief Zulu, shaking with fear and pain, looked around at the gathered villagers. He knew there was no escape. With a broken voice, he began to confess. I am the one who caused Amichi's death, he said, his voice cracking. I beat her and poisoned her because she knew the truth about my daughters. The villagers gasped in shock. Chief Zulu continued, I tried to kill my son, Ejiro, because he wanted to leave the village. I even set a charm to stop him, but he escaped. Tears streamed down Amakachi's face as Chief Zulu revealed the darkest secret of all. I plan to marry my own daughters, he said, his voice filled with shame. I added love potions to their meals to make them love me and hate their mother. I wanted to punish Amakachi because I found out long ago that the girls were not mine. The villagers were stunned. They turned to Amakachi for confirmation. Is this true? They asked. Amakachi nodded, tears still flowing. After the birth of Ejiro, Chief Zulu could not get me pregnant again. I went to a young herbalist for help, but he took advantage of me. The first daughter was born, and then the second after another encounter. I kept the secret to avoid shame. The king, who had joined the crowd, stepped forward. Chief Zulu, your actions are beyond forgiveness. You and your wife are banished from this village. At that moment, Ejiro arrived, his heart heavy with sorrow. Standing tall and brave, he stepped forward. His heart ached for his sisters, despite their past actions. He knew they were also victims of their father's cruelty. Gathering his courage, he approached the king. Your Majesty, Ejiro began, his voice steady but full of emotion. Please, spare my sisters. They have suffered under my father's tyranny just as much as anyone else. They deserve a chance to change and live better lives. The villagers, moved by Ejiro's words and his history of kindness, spoke up in support. Ejiro is right, one elder said. He has always shown kindness and fairness. Let us give his sisters a chance to prove they can be better. The king, wise and just, listened to the pleas of his people. He looked at Ejiro, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, and then at the villagers who supported him. Chief Zulu and Amakachi will be banished from this village for their wicked deeds, the king decreed. But Ejiro and his sisters will stay. They will be given the opportunity to start anew under the watchful eyes of the village. Chief Zulu and Amakachi were taken away, their faces marked with the disgrace of their actions. As they were led out of the village, the weight of their wickedness hung heavy in the air. With Chief Zulu gone, a sense of relief washed over the village. The dark cloud that had loomed over Ruru began to lift. The villagers felt a renewed sense of hope and unity. Ejiro and his sisters, now free from their father's oppressive shadow, began to rebuild their lives. Ejiro's gentle nature and willingness to help others quickly earned him respect and admiration. His sisters, realizing the gravity of their past behavior, worked hard to change. They apologized to those they had wronged and began to contribute positively to the community. The village of Ruru returned to its former harmony. Laughter once again filled the air as children played without fear. The fields flourished and the people celebrated their newfound peace. Ejiro and his sisters became a symbol of redemption and hope, showing that even the darkest past could be overcome with kindness and determination. The villagers, inspired by the changes in Ejiro's family, grew closer and more supportive of one another. They shared stories of forgiveness and second chances, teaching their children the importance of compassion and understanding. And so, peace returned to Ruru. The village thrived, not just in abundance of food and resources, but in the richness of community and the strength of their shared values. The lessons learned from Chief Zulu's fall and Ejiro's rise became a guiding light for generations to come, ensuring that kindness and justice would always prevail in the heart of Ikwa's kingdom. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video, comment what you learned from the tale, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting tales just like this one. Thank you.